Man, so I've been letting the dust settle a little bit on this week. There's like 4 big things that happened this week that I think, just will not define the 2024 election, but shift it. And I think it's going to shift it in Trump's favor. So, number one, we'll start with Iran and Israel. So, Iran, 180 missiles over to Israel. Well, we'll start with Iran and Israel and how Kamala Harris's response ties into the hurricanes in the East Coast. So, Iran launches 180 missiles at Israel. Israel has yet to respond. Tomorrow's October 7th. Keep that in mind. So, look out for something tomorrow. So, Israel says that they will respond, and they will respond with a lot of force. Joe Biden says, go soft. Go soft on Iran. I know that's not necessarily what the American people want right now, but go soft on Iran. Then on the back end, Kamala Harris announces $750 for the people affected by Hurricane Helene. And then you got FEMA announcing that it's out of funds. And then again, she turns around and she announces 157 million or 57 billion or whatever for people in Lebanon. And it's like, what? The people in Lebanon let Hezbollah launch missiles at people in Israel who are just trying to live their life and be a fucking Jew. You ever tried to just like live your life and be a Christian, or like live your life and be nothing, and somebody launches a missile at you? Pretty sure you would want to launch one back. Yeah, here we are, probably giving humanitarian aid to Hezbollah, slowing down Israel every step of the way. This war should have been over a freaking year ago, bro. Instead, we might have to go to war with Iran, which means we might have to go to war with China, which means we might have to go to war with Russia, which means we might have to go to war with Brazil and Mexico. This administration's incompetent. It's not incompetent, it's corrupt. Just look at the CNN. Fake news CNN broke a report on the fraud within Tim Walz's administration up north yonder in Minnesota. Minnesota nice. It's kind of a nice little sleight of hand that they played on their people with all the embezzling and fraud and lack of funds for emergency response. Florida's a heavy snow state. It'd be a shame if they got 24 inches of snow and they were unable to deal with it because of lack of state tax funding. And guess what? You pay those tax dollars that they're embezzling and stealing from you. That's the vice presidential nominee for the current vice president of the United States. Now, what's even funnier is she was giving a rally this week, and I saw pictures of the rally during the rally because she was on stage. They don't come on stage before or after the rally. That's normally during. I mean, I don't know. Last time I checked, that's typically how things work. That's a pretty common sense view, I would assume. I'd be honestly shocked if somebody told me that an event happens before an event or after an event. I'd be like, really? Explain to me how that one works. So, anyway, there were like 100 people in the crowd during the event, which is just funny. Meanwhile, you got Trump coming over to Butler, drawing thousands of people. He goes, as I was saying, I love that chart. I love that chart too, man. But, in the middle of Harris's rally, Joe Biden gives the first presser that he ever gave from the podium, right? The presidential podium in the White House, where Corinne Pierre, China, bend over for China person, gives her propaganda. And every question he answered basically was just like to tie Kamala Harris straight to him. Like he He did the most subtle torching of Harris I've ever seen. It's almost like they are trying their best to get Trump elected. But then you go and you look at polls and it's like either the American people are too stupid to realize they're not paying attention enough, or these polls are just flat out lying. Now, I'm going to be honest. I think it's the second one. I think the polls are flat out lying. Because I have lived all across this country now and been all around this country now for the last 3 years of my life. And I would say probably about 20% of people I meet actually believe in, like, the Democrat Party. The other 80%, they're like, I don't know what's going on with this administration. If they talk politics to me. A lot of people don't even want to talk politics. They want to avoid it. And maybe that's the margin of people that's making up those poll numbers for Harris and Walz, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to matter because J.D. Vance got on stage. Look, a lot of people think that the debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris was unfair and skewed towards Harris. I think the same thing. I think the VP debate really set the record straight for people and is going to allow them to see the difference, because Tim Walz, he looked completely scared, could barely answer any questions. I mean, at one point he got asked about his lying and he goes, yeah, see, so I was raised middle class. That is the dumbest answer you can possibly give, like, ever. And they give it every time. It's like, why is the economy bad? Well, I was raised middle class. Why is Iran killing Israel? Well, I was raised middle class. Why do you lie? Well, I was raised middle class. It's like, okay, I was raised middle class too. So am I a liar? Is that how I'm supposed to identify with you? Oh, if you were raised in the middle class, you're a liar. Like, screw that. Oh, red Hereford. What a cute animal. If you're raised middle class, you're a liar, according to Tim Walz. You know, you're supposed to empathize with him because he was raised middle class, but he's a liar, I guess. Look, I'm a knucklehead at times. You guys have probably seen the videos. You guys know. JD handily destroyed him. Handedly. Wasn't even close. So, and then they fact-checked him. That was great. That was great. You guys aren't supposed to fact-check me, and since you are, I think it's important to explain what's actually going on. And the moderators looked like, oh no, we did do that, and we did say we weren't going to do that. Oh crap. Total propaganda moment. And the people see it. The people see it. They talk about it. They see it. They know what's going on. So, that's what's going on in election news. Dock workers strike. Kind of funny. They reached a temporary agreement to come back and find an actual agreement after the election. So we're going to wait until after the election to continue this strike, to hold the American economy hostage when these people are obsolete. The dude who gave the speech, he goes, now the world will see how important we are. And the only thing I've been able to find ever since then is a whole bunch of evidence of how unimportant you guys actually are. All you have to do is go look at other modernized ports. In the same span it takes us to get like one cargo container off, Japan can get like 10. You guys are so useless to me. You slow down the very economy that you participate in. You guys are useless to yourselves. But let me explain that. You're useless to yourselves because you slow down the containers that carry the goods that we all consume and use for our daily lives. And you slow them down while demanding more pay for a job that's absolutely useless. So we have to pay more to have less efficient transfer of goods. Like, as an economy, we have to pay more to have less efficient transfer of goods, which will cause goods to be more expensive on the back end, even for the very people who want more pay. It's a circular cycle. When they get paid more, things will cost more to be shipped in, and then everyone will pay more, and then they'll need to get paid more because they'll be I don't make enough money. And it's like, how do you not see this? That's the problem with unions. It's the problem with unions. You want to know why the cost of a home is so high? Has nothing to do, well, it has a lot to do with illegal aliens. It's got a lot to do with unions, construction unions. And the fact that some dudes are making $40 an hour, protected by a union, working at about 50% the pace as a scab. And I know because I've worked in the construction industry as a scab. And all the scabs that I worked with, we worked our butt off for a little bit less wage, but we worked fast. So we would go from job to job to job. And oftentimes, because we were working fast, when it came down to giving overtime, it was given out to the scabs, not the union people, because they knew that we weren't going to waste time. They knew that paying us time and a half was going to be a lot cheaper than paying some union guy a time and a half, right? So on the back end, that cost to produce that home, to produce that building, that gets passed down to the consumer every single time. Every single time it gets passed down to the consumer. Every single time. And this dock workers union is no different. That's why I'm anti-union. The industry I work in, the meat industry, we used to have unions, and they busted themselves. Online, people will talk about how the JBS brothers busted the unions. That had nothing to do with that, man. It was people trying to demand better pay and better working conditions without actually reaching any agreement, making it kind of happen. And then eventually, the price of goods got too much in the grocery store. People wanted to find alternatives to meat, so started buying other stuff. And the next thing you know, we're trying to outsource our, instead of using American-raised animals, we're outsourcing. And then it's still American-produced because it's processed here, air quotes. And then the next phase was phasing out the labor. So now a lot of the labor in these big packing plants it's illegals because it's cheap labor. The Democrats bring in the illegals because they love slavery and they're cheap labor. And so then those people are undercutting American jobs. And you go and you look at the price of what these ribeyes are costing in the grocery store and what they come in wholesale is like anywhere between $5 a pound to $7 a pound. And yet in the grocery store, for me to go like this and then just throw it in something, it's going to cost you $16.99 a pound. So it's not even just, it's at the very bottom with the people that work in the packing plants. Their wages are being undercut so that the people at the top of those packing plant industries can sell a product at a decent price. And then you have grocery stores that are just price gouging the crap out of meat. Now I get it. There's a lot of meat departments in a lot of grocery stores that operate at a loss. I understand that entirely. Like I said, I'm in the meat industry. They operate at a loss because they have to throw product away. A lot of them. But $16.99 a pound when it's coming in for $5.99, $6.99 a pound. It's just ridiculous, especially when you look at people getting undercut at the bottom. And all that has to do with the unions that popped up in the 60s and the 70s. And then throughout the late 70s, 80s, and the 90s, they all got busted up. Now there's no protection for the workers. And basically the only place that an American can go get a job as a butcher now is inside of a grocery store or a full service shop. So the only reason those full service shops are starting to come back is because the economy is so bad. People are buying whole beef. They're trying to get stuff wholesale. So, you know, that's just one example of what unions do to an industry. You know, I'd love to be a part of like a butcher's union, but at the same time, I would hate it. I feel like it would overreach and just take. And I would get nothing back from it. So I don't know. All I know is in my industry, there's no protection for the working man. runs rampant. And they're undercutting my wages with what I look at as slave labor. I think that's the natural evolution of a union. I mean, look at, if I was the owner of those ports, I'd be wanting to find a way to automate the crap out of it. I would be trying to find some politician who's going to promise me that he's going to pass a law to automate my ports. And the next thing I would do is fill his pockets full of millions of dollars. So that's the only thing that makes sense. It's the only thing that makes sense. This union has driven up the cost of needing people so bad that we need to automate in order for it to not be a bad situation. And automation, machines, is basically slave labor. The evolution of unions always leads to slave labor because they ruin every fucking industry that they're a part of. Every single one. Every single one. Go pick an industry and I guarantee you, union ruined it. The auto industry, ruined. Construction industry, ruining it. Dock workers union, ruining it. Butchers unions, ruined it. Teachers unions, ruined education. You see what I'm saying? Actors unions ruined Hollywood. And and yet people are still, I know a lot of people who are pro-Trump and they're in a union and they're pro-union. And like, I get it. You're pro-union because your union is the reason you make $40 an hour and have a decent life. Okay, well, that's just inflationary economics. And you might win temporarily, but on the back end somewhere, you're going to lose because you won. Because things always even out. And if you just leave them evened out, things will be fine. It's like the race issue. If you just leave it evened out, and you let the world figure it out, it'll be fine. But yeah, we can't leave well enough alone in this country. We never can. The American people are never satisfied. They always have to be something. Which is great. I love tenacity, I love ambition, but when it's not channeled to the right things and there's no logic behind it, all it does is make things worse. All it does is make things worse. So, they'll come back to the negotiating table after the election, and if Trump won, they'll strike. It'll tarnish the economy for 2 whole years. And that's all a setup, and it's just perfectly obvious that it's a setup. And I don't know, man. It's just, every day it's seeming more and more like our country's gonna lose. Our country is gonna lose whatever's coming because we're not prepared. And some of our, a lot of our young people are just not prepared. And those are the people that absolutely need to be prepared. Absolutely, because they're the future. They're the ones that are going to have to go fight a war if we get into one. They're the ones that are going to have to build the America of tomorrow. And yet a lot of them are lost. They don't know what to believe. They don't know what to be a part of. They lack purpose, so they feel like they need to be a part of something. It's just sad. I've had moments like that myself. I'm in my mid-20s. I'm still young. I'm still a part of that classification of people. And I've had a lot of moments like that in the last 10 years of my life. I remember when I was in high school, and I think this was just an attempt for people to look more mature. People would talk about politics, but it was never anything about policy. It was always about, well, Trump's just a blowhard. Yeah, but Hillary's corrupt. Why is Hillary corrupt? Oh, her emails. Well, explain the email thing. Well, the emails. It's like, you guys don't know anything. You want to look more mature. To be more mature, you have to be about something. I used to live in a halfway house, and that's what they would say every day. Be about something. Why don't you wake up and be about something today? I finally realized that something was myself. Be about myself. What's the best for me? What's the best for Reed? What does Reed need to do to go forward and be a successful human being tomorrow? And it revolutionized the way I look at the world when I started thinking like that. It sounds selfish, it sounds self-centered, But it's true. And it's not selfish and it's not self-centered, because oftentimes the thing that Reed needs to do to be a better human being tomorrow and a more successful human being for himself tomorrow is be more understanding of other people and be more kind and do that nice thing and take that money sitting in my cup holder that I would love to just save and give it to the kid running in lemonade. Just give it to him. I don't even need your lemonade, buddy. Here's $12. You know, half an hour of my life. Here it is. And it's moments like that that change you as a human being to be a better person. You have to practice that. But it takes introspection. It takes looking inside. And a lot of people want to look outside to define who they are. A lot of people want to look to the Kamala Harrises and the Democrat parties and the Antifas and Black Lives Matters of the world to be about something, instead of looking to their own principles. They get told what their principles should be, and then they have no principles themselves because they've never thought about them. They just regurgitate what other people tell them their principles should be. I'm a firm believer that somebody who has not established their own principles lacks discipline by nature. Because in order to be disciplined, you have to have principles, structure that upholds your life. And if you lack that, then every day you wake up, you're like, oh, well, I think I'll go take a shower and then I'll brush my teeth. When yesterday you brushed your teeth and then took a shower, and then after that, I think I'll go lift. When yesterday you lifted before you even went to the bathroom to take care of yourself. And it's like, there's no structure, no routine. I bet you're not going to lift later. Or you might skip brushing your teeth, or maybe not even shower one day before you go to work. And I've met a lot of people like that. They have no routine. No routine in work. Feel like you have no routine in life. You know, I've met people who don't have any routine in life and they have a very good routine in work. So if you don't have a good routine in work, I'm 100% certain you don't have a good routine for life, because work is an aspect of life. And that's what, like, a lot of people want to be about something, but they don't want to be about work these days. People want to be something special, but they don't understand that not everybody gets to be special. Sometimes what makes you special is being average. Sometimes what makes you special is that you have a small, tight-knit network of people that you deal with. And you have a very important purpose in that small network of people that has a very important purpose in a broader network of people. And sometimes it's okay to be okay with that, man. It's okay to be okay with that. I'm okay with that. And once I accepted that, I'll tell you right now, my network of people got a lot better, a lot bigger, and a lot more special. And it's what's wrong with our country right now. People just lack purpose, so they latch on to whatever fills that dopamine rush. People lack emotional control, and so they follow the herd and they react to things. People are very reactive for no reason. Sometimes it lacks logic because they want to fit the narrative to how they feel. But sometimes how you feel isn't reality. Sometimes you live in a halfway house and you work at a Popeyes for an Indian man who runs you ragged all day long, sending you back and forth from the counter to the bathroom, to the counter to the bathroom, and you're all riled up, and the real problem isn't him, it's you. Nobody was shooting at me when I was going back and forth. I was just mad that I lived in a halfway house and I was working at a Popeyes because I made dumb decisions in life. That was all it was. And once I got pointed out to me and I accepted that, that dude would yell at me to go do this and that and the other, and I just didn't care, bro. It was like, what a joke. This guy makes $20 million a year and he's running himself ragged over a guy that makes $8 an hour wearing a 2X shirt with some dork hat that has to walk home to a halfway house in the middle of the Georgia heat after this. You know? I think if more people adopted attitudes like that and tried to look within their own moment and stay grounded, you know, I'm forever grateful for that program that I lived in. It was, only lived there for 3 months, but I didn't get to have a phone. I had to walk to work in the middle of the summer in the Georgia heat and humidity. And I had to work for a guy who ran me ragged, had an embarrassing job, wearing embarrassing clothes. Everything, I remember I used to change my clothes in the bathroom, and one time the directors of the program, they noticed that. And they were like, from now on, you're gonna walk to and from work in your uniform. And I was like, what, dude, no, that's so embarrassing. I did it. And now, I just wear what I work in, man. I don't have to be all fancy. I used to wear 2 different colored shoes, bro. Look at these moccasins I got on right now. I guess I can't flip a camera around. What the hell is wrong with Apple? But anyway, this has started to turn more into story time than political commentary, and a psychological lesson more than political commentary. So this has been Reed Walks and Talks. Protect the second, starve the left. The liberties we prize, our rights we will maintain. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of the state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Have a good Sunday.